Hello there, kia ora. This week I got a message from a friend who works frontline in the health sector. They're not a doctor or a nurse, but they do work frontline with patients. And they've been made redundant. Now, we were told as the public that budgetary restraints weren't going to impact frontline services, which was clearly a bullshit piece of spin doctoring that was never going to happen. But that's what we were told, that's what we were promised. Now my friend's been told not to worry about Christmas because, the redundancy doesn't kick in until January. So Christmas is clearly saved. At the same time, though, our nurses are currently on strike because the pay offers that they've been getting are so insulting, and half of nursing graduates aren't even getting jobs with Health NZ at the moment because of a hiring freeze that apparently doesn't exist. But don't worry, Lester Levy saved Milo. But because budgets are so tight, and don't get me wrong, I understand budgets are tight because we've got to give $3 billion to landlords, and it's clearly important to give tobacco companies tax breaks. Well, government departments have been told that they need to cut right back on Christmas celebrations. Some departments aren't having any kind of celebration whatsoever. All year long, staff in government departments have been told that they're in a high-stress situation as Nicola the Grim Reaper swings her scythe, decimating our public service. And Wellington CBD, but they'll never admit that firing 7,500 people had anything to do with impacting Wellington CBD. All of these issues, though, raise a question. How much of the decision-making that we're seeing now is being made based on evidence-based reality, or how much of it is being based on ideology, an ideology that seemingly punishes collective good for individual gain? After all, Lester Levy was actually called out by his assistant this week for cooking the books at Te Whatu Ora, trying to blame the previous Labour government for decisions he's making now in a way that justifies the underfunding that the government put into the budget for the health department. The Auditor General also called him out for this as well. We saw the Marsden Fund for research stripped, absolutely stripped away, in fields that involved the humanities, so that they could focus on what they called tangible results, while the evidence is everywhere as to why we need research into areas like the humanities. Just read the comments section on Facebook. Look, it should be pointed out, though, that the humanities are a field which has a really pesky side effect of pointing out how callous and cruel current government policies are towards people who aren't landlords or tobacco companies. We saw evidence that the impartial group of Wellington middle-aged influencers who are totally impartial were being cheered on by the Prime Minister before they'd even announced their impartial existence, and somehow that didn't end up in the Post's clearly impartial story on their announcement of existing. Nor did the fact that former Mayor Kerry Prendergast offered to step in and help the city of Dim Sim Simeon Brown needed her to. And we all know how well unelected leaders being given leadership roles away from the democratic process looks not dodgy at all when it comes after those said leaders offered by direct text message to the minister in charge to do them a solid. But, in a totally, clearly impartial way. Oh, we also had the Prime Minister try and tell us that the economy and people are better off this year, despite all of the evidence to the contrary, like the tanking economy, record unemployment rates, record migration loss, and increasing homelessness and beneficiary numbers. We even had ACT get all upset that the BBC named Hana Rafiti Maipi Clark as one of their top 100 women of 2024, and the terrible message that that sends to people that to be a good young person, woman, or Māori, you need to sit down, shut up, and only speak when you're spoken to. The true essence of libertarianism that they preach over there at ACT. December's already a stressful time of year for so many of us, with so much going on, and for many, many more of us, that was never really necessary until this government felt like it should be something that they did. And then the government goes and makes things worse by trying to gaslight us into believing it's somehow everyone else's fault, and couldn't possibly be the people who have been in charge for over a year, who have done 2 budgets now, who have all the research, all the work, and every bit of feedback that they could ever possibly need. And not to worry about Christmas. After all, redundancies made now, well, they don't roll out until halfway through the holiday season. And it's not like anyone can have a little Christmas cheer at work before then anyway, because there's just no money for it. As long as landlords and tobacco companies and polluters, road builders, and guys in the midst of a midlife crisis who have gone out and bought the fastest car or bike that they can are allowed to speed past schools, as long as they're all happy, then I'm sure it'll be a Merry Christmas for everyone. Wait, you're still here? It's over. Find another video.